Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Look, if you saw the news over the past weekend, you saw something I think that was pretty special and pretty nice. And we could be cynical about politics, but this was just a nice moment. You saw Jagmeet Singh, Elizabeth May, and Justin Trudeau, along with other politicians from the Liberals, NDP, and Greens, march together in the Vancouver Pride Parade. It was a powerful demonstration of solidarity with a marginalized community, and a demonstration that for those three parties at least, that they are in broad agreement about the need to protect the rights of LGBTQ2S people. It was fantastic to see. But there's a couple questions that come out of it. One, where was Andrew Scheer? It was very disappointing to not see him there. And I know he's between a rock and a hard place. There's a large portion of the conservative base that does not support things like pride parades. For whatever reason, they don't support the idea of gay rights, or perhaps more charitably, they support the idea of a legal right to not be discriminated against, but that they don't support a public display of one's pride. That it's something to be secretive, that it's something to be closeted, for lack of a better term. And that, yes, maybe you shouldn't be fired because of who you love, but neither should you flaunt it in a parade in Vancouver. And for some conservatives to have views that are more conservative than that. Scheer, I think, is trying to have it both ways. He doesn't want to alienate his base, but he doesn't want to take a stand that would alienate the broad two-thirds of Canadians that support proudly the rights of LGBTQ2S people. And I think it was really sad he wasn't there. Of course, Maxime Bernier, we know Maxime Bernier would not show up. That was no surprise. But Andrew Scheer not being there was actually kind of disappointing. Was I surprised? I don't know, but I am disappointed. Now there's another factor that looms large over this moment, and it's largely at the feet, almost exclusively at the feet, of Justin Trudeau and his Liberals. Him and May and Singh and others marching together in solidarity there. My goodness, isn't that a sign of what politics could be in a system of proportional representation? A system where the parties have different visions and different values and different objectives and different concerns and different communities that they represent, but that on the broad scope, they can find a way to work together and bring positive change to communities across this country. That they can work together more than they can be opponents. I saw a potential future of how government could be done under proportional representation, which was that the Greens and Liberals and the NDP could cooperate with one another. Whether it was the Liberals or the NDP or the Greens who were the biggest party, the reality is that those three parties could work together. They wouldn't always agree. But on this issue, on the broad acceptance of loving people regardless of who they love, maybe there is common ground. But Justin Trudeau broke his electoral reform promise. And he kept a system that pits ABC voters against one another, that forces them to compete with one another. And he kept a system that allows, potentially, Andrew Scheer to form a majority government with 35 or 40% of the vote. Truly unrepresentative. And a government that won't represent the vast majority of people who attend pride parades. And people will say, well, that just means we have to vote strategically for Trudeau. But I don't think that's the case. I think that at the end of the day, the next unrepresentative conservative majority, and all the harm that comes from that, will be down to two broad groups of people. One, the people who vote conservative, of course, but two, the Liberal Party, and indeed all Liberals who failed to hold their own government to account when they broke the electoral reform promise. Again, I've noted this before. Justin Trudeau, when attacking proportional representation, when attacking electoral reform, said that he couldn't support it because he worried about the dangers it would create. He worried that it would create a radical right-wing party that would harm the marginalized people in this country, and that would harm vital public services, and that would be a government of and for the rich. But yet now we see Liberals saying those very same things about Andrew Scheer and his Conservatives. And the way Andrew Scheer and his Conservatives get absolute power, it's not going to be by getting 51% of the vote, like it would take under a proportional system. It's about his government getting 35 to 40% of the vote, depending on how it breaks down. So Justin Trudeau said first past the post would be the system that saved us from an unrepresentative and dangerous Conservative government. But it's the very system that endangers us. It's the very system that endangers the most marginalized. And when that system, it might not be in 2019, but when that system inevitably leads to another unrepresentative Conservative government like it did here in Ontario, it will be at Justin Trudeau's feet. But it doesn't have to be that way. If people support Jagmeet Singh and the NDP, whether it's to elect an NDP government or whether it's to ensure a strong NDP contingent that holds the balance of power, we will get proportional representation. And this beautiful moment in Vancouver that was so shocking to people because it's so rare would become perhaps a little bit more commonplace. And that cooperation and not confrontation would become the norm on Parliament Hill. But it's only going to happen with proportional representation. It's never going to happen with a Liberal Party that will, when desperate, proclaim they want electoral reform, but then when in power will preserve a system that can always give Conservatives absolute power. Justin Trudeau marched with Jagmeet Singh and he marched with Elizabeth May, but the actual mechanics of the political system he supports proves that he would rather give the Conservatives absolute power from time to time than nearly perpetually share power with the Greens and the NDP. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe. Doing so lets people know that this beautiful moment was an anomaly because of our political system, because of our electoral system, and that this cooperation between Liberals and Greens and NDPers could become commonplace if we have a system of proportional representation, and that the rights of marginalized people will be less likely to be imperiled by unrepresentative Conservative majorities. And for the same reason, I would appreciate your support on Patreon. Your support there improves the quality and quantity of content on this channel, but it also helps to bring a voice covering Canadian politics from a progressive perspective here on YouTube, which is something of a rarity. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.